She came back from a weekend in Ridgefield, sunburned and loud about how the hotel had a great view of the river and how the girls laughed until 2. Bags dropped by the couch. She talked with that bright, practiced tone women use with a cashier they'll never see again. I made tacos, poured iced tea, and listened. Baby, you would have loved that rooftop, Jenna said, scrolling while chewing. We were such a mess. Casey lost her sandal. It was chaos. Sounds like fun, I told her. You glad to be home? Sure, she said, eyes on her phone. Then the phone tilted into her palm when I walked behind her. Lock screen. She swallowed, smiled quick. Just the girls. Group chat. It was a small move, like sliding a chip closer to your side of the table. But it landed. Okay, I said. I'm glad you had a good time. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have saved the tacos and a few months of sleep. The first crack showed up the next night. Jenna sat on the patio, wrapped in a throw like she was visiting, not living here. The sun was down, the yard was quiet, and the neighbor's dog clicked on the deck boards. I brought her a mug of chamomile. You're sweet, she said without looking up. I'm full. You don't drink tea. You sip it. Not tonight. She typed more. The little tap-tap became a metronome. I stood there with the mug like a hotel waiter who missed his cue. Who's that? I asked, keeping my voice flat. She lifted her eyebrows. Mark, it's the girls. We're debriefing. You know how it is. You've been debriefing for an hour. That's how it is, she repeated, then smiled like I was cute for asking. Why are you being weird? Because I'm married to you, I said. And I prefer your eyes over your thumbs. She rolled the throw tighter. You don't have to make everything a thing. I won't, I told her. I'll make this simple. Phones go face up when we're together. Mine too. If that's hard, we'll start with an hour after dinner. You in? She laughed, not kindly. Rules now? Since when? Since I noticed I've been eating with the top of your head. She put the throw down, finally looked at me. You're overreacting. Probably. Let's test it. I set my phone face up on the table beside her mug. Messages from Owen and Blue Bubbles sat in plain view about a weekend job and the new compressor at the shop. 1 hour. Face up. She watched my screen like it offended her. This is controlling. It's clarity. She stared, then put her phone face down. I'm not doing a trust exercise. You just did, I said. But upside down. She stood, took the mug from me after all, then kissed my cheek like a parent giving a sticker. I'm tired. Good night. The dog across the fence barked once, like a comment. I left the phone where it was until the screen timed out. By morning, Jenna had a bounce in her step and no interest in kisses. She ghosted my hand. At breakfast, she told me she needed space to land from the trip. What does that look like? I asked. Less commentary, she said, buttering toast like she was in a cooking show. I'm not mad. I'm just recalibrating. Great word, I said. Here's mine. I'm moving guys' night to Fridays and picking up the Saturday shift at the shop for a while. I'm going to be busy. Calendars make people honest. Busy is good, she said, and I caught the relief she didn't expect me to see. After work, I made dinner reservations and set a note on the counter. Friday, 7 p.m., her favorite deli downtown, a place we used to eat when neither of us checked clocks. She came home late with takeout for herself and said she already ate with the girls, holding up the bag like evidence. I booked us a table, I said, tapping the note. I'll cancel, but I'm not rebooking 3 times. I didn't ask you to, she answered. You didn't ask me anything, I said. That's the point. She set the bag down. Could you not make this dramatic? I'm not dramatic, I told her. I'm letting you know the new schedule. Friday nights are mine again. Saturday mornings too. If you want to join, you invite me. She blinked, surprised I hadn't huffed. Fine. Also, I added, shared budget goes to bills only this month. Extra spending, we do separate. Just until we're both back on the same page. That's punitive. It's accounting. Saves misunderstandings. She smirked, almost impressed and almost angry, then took her food to the den and ate with the TV up. The phone stayed within an inch of her hand. The lock clicked every time I passed the doorway like a seatbelt. At Owen's shop Saturday, I sanded cabinet doors and kept my mouth shut until he said, "You're quieter than the old drill press." Jenna's back from Ridgefield, I said. He blew sawdust off his arm. You too good. She talks more to a screen than me. I set a couple rules. Did she set any back? She said I was dramatic. He grinned. You're not. You're a spreadsheet. Yeah, I said. I'm also not a doormat. Good, he nodded. Remember that if it gets noisy. It would. I just didn't know how loud yet. The second drift happened at brunch with our neighbors. Linda and Walt are harmless, kind people who overcook bacon and ask normal questions. We were at their table talking about yard projects when Linda, casual as weather, asked Jenna about the trip. Jenna lit up. It was wild, she said. We did the rooftop, the tapas place, some little live music bar. The band was cute. I mean good. Cute. Linda played along. Jenna laughed. Just saying. It was fun. Walt chuckled. Sounds like a time. I poured orange juice for myself and said nothing. Jenna pulled her phone out mid-sentence. Oh my God, Casey just sent the funniest. Hey, I cut in. Paused the phone. Conversation's live. Jenna looked around. You're doing this here? Yeah, I said. Because we're friends with these two, not your screen. Linda glanced at Walt and then at Jenna with that soft concern women keep in their pocket. Jenna put the phone down like it was sharp. I told you this feels controlling, she said. Then skip brunch, I said, steady. I like you in the room I'm sitting in. That's all. Walt changed the subject to grass seed. Jenna went quiet, tight-lipped. When we left, she lit into me halfway down the sidewalk. You embarrassed me, she said under her breath. Why make rules in front of neighbors? I made a boundary, I replied. Openly, because I don't want secrets in our house. If you're with me, you're with me. She stopped at our driveway, folded her arms. You think you're so noble. No, I said. I think I'm done negotiating basics. That night, she brought me a plate of cookies, warm, like a peace offering from a bakery. She sat next to me and leaned her head on my shoulder, first time in a week. I overreacted earlier, she said lightly. Brunch was a lot. I get that you want attention. I can do better. Attention, I said, chewing, is free. I know, she said. I'll try the face-up thing. A couple nights a week. Baby steps. She placed her phone screen up and even turned off notifications. It was a performance, but it was also something. The next morning, she made me a packed lunch like we were dating again. Turkey, an apple, a sticky note that said, have a good day. Owen opened my lunch in the shop like a raccoon. She packed you a note, he said, waving the post-it. That's cute. You two turning a corner. Maybe, I said. Or she's buying time. Time for what? I don't know yet, I told him. I'll find out. The buying time angle made more sense 2 nights later. Jenna announced she was going to a girls' happy hour with Casey and Lena. 6:30 came and went. The clock ticked to 10. I texted her, you good? She responded at 11. Don't wait up, followed by a heart and a champagne emoji like a postcard from a stranger. At midnight, I turned off the porch light and went to bed. At 2, I woke to the garage door and the careful steps of someone who lives with secrets. She slid under the blanket like she was trying not to wake a cat. I didn't speak. In the morning, I made coffee and laid out a simple plan like hardware on a towel. Evenings, I said while pouring. If you're out, I want a time you'll be back. If you're not sure, say not sure. But this don't wait up thing doesn't live here. She frowned into her mug. This is smothering. This is information, I said. You want space? You can have all of it. But we do it clean. I'm not reporting to you. You're updating your husband, I corrected. The title comes with it. She picked up her phone and scrolled like my voice was a pop-up ad. Okay, I said, no heat. Here's my update. I won't be here 3 nights a week. I'll be at the shop late or at the gym. If you want to see me, put it on the calendar. Also, I'm canceling the couples trivia night next month. I don't do public cold shoulder games. You're canceling our plans without asking? I'm not interested in being background noise, I said. If that changes, we can book new plans. That night she was syrupy. She brought a blanket, sat close, and found an old comedy we both liked. Halfway in, she laced her fingers with mine, kissed my jaw, and asked how my day was. It felt like someone put the batteries back in the remote. I let myself relax a hair. Halfway through the next week, she went to yoga at 7 and came home at 3 in the morning smelling like a hotel lobby. No sweat, no mat. She had excuses on the tip of her tongue and a phone glued to her palm. Yoga runs late now? I asked. She shrugged without looking at me. We did tea after. At an airport? What's your problem? She snapped, defensive because she had to be. I'm not doing anything wrong. You're paranoid. I let her words fall. I'm observant. She scoffed and headed to the shower. I watched the door close, and then I sat at the kitchen table and made 3 calls. One to Owen confirming I'd be at the shop more evenings. One to Nate, an old friend who knew a guy from his security work. And one to the guy, a licensed private investigator who answered like he'd heard it all. I need a wellness check on a schedule, I told him. My wife is out most nights. I don't want to guess. He asked for basics. Her car, usual routes, known friends. He was professional and unfazed. I'll keep it clean and quiet, he said. You'll have facts, not feelings. Facts. Good. For a couple days, Jenna tried the second version of nice. She texted me at lunch, a selfie of her and Linda at a salad place. She left me a note about picking up dry cleaning. She baked a casserole on Wednesday like she was in a community cookbook. She even touched my back when she passed me, light and friendly. Can we reset? She asked while we ate. I've been stressed. The Ridgefield thing was. I don't know. I came back scattered. You've been patient. I've been clear, I said. That's different. She nodded, eyes moist enough to sell it. I want us. I do. Then act like it. I will, she said, and she did, for 48 hours. Friday she said she had late drinks with the girls. At 10 she texted Linda's name like a password. At Linda's. I walked to the fence, saw Linda folding laundry in her bright kitchen, and asked over the boards, "You got my wife tonight?" Linda blinked, confused. "No, she's out with Casey, I think." "Everything okay?" "Peachy," I said. "Thanks." I turned back inside, set a load of laundry, and reminded myself not to pick fights over symptoms. The diagnosis was coming. Saturday morning, the investigator called me before I left for the shop. "You home?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "What do you have?" "She's been at the Birchfield in 3 nights this week," he said, voice even. "Room 65. Same man, late 30s, gray hoodie, ball cap." He met her at the side entrance. They went up together. Photo and video collected. "I'll deliver the report Monday morning unless you want it earlier." My jaw flexed. "Monday is fine," I said. "Thank you." "I'll keep the log running," he said. Jenna breezed into the kitchen as I hung up, hair damp, humming like a radio. "Morning," she said. "I'm going to Claire's tonight. She's been on me to visit. Might stay a couple days." I nodded like this was normal. "Tell your sister I said hello." "You okay with that?" she asked too quickly. "You don't need my permission to visit family," I replied. "Just send me the address." "Right?" she said, and then kissed my cheek like she was blessing me before a flight. "You're a good husband." "Sometimes," I said. She texted me later. "I'm at Claire's. I'll probably crash here tonight." "Don't worry, she missed me." "Of course," I wrote back. "Tell her I said hi." I went to the shop and burned through 4 hours of work like a man paying down a debt. Owen watched, wiping sweat from his neck with a rag. "You okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "I'm moving forward." "On what?" "Everything." He didn't push. Good friends don't. The report came Sunday morning, not Monday. The investigator called at 8. "I figured you'd want this now," he said. He parked a black SUV down the street, handed me a manila folder at my door like it was a utility bill, and left without small talk. I opened it at the kitchen table. There were photos of the Birchfield sign, Jenna's car, a side entrance, and then clear shots of her with a man I'd never met, smiling like she was a tourist. Room 65. The timestamp on the last photo was 20 minutes ago. So much for Claire. It's an odd feeling when you stop negotiating with yourself. The bargaining ends, and the voice that always tried to keep the peace packs its bags. I made coffee, showered, put on a clean button-down, and at 9:15 I drove to the county building and filed for the end of it. I didn't slam anything. I didn't pout in the lobby. I signed where they showed me and kept my sentences short. It felt like closing a business you cared about after the accountant tells you the numbers don't lie. Back in the truck, I texted Jenna. I was thinking, I haven't seen Claire in a while either. I'll swing by in 30. 10 minutes later, my phone lit up. Wait, don't. She's napping. Her place is a mess. Maybe another day. Then, seriously, Mark, don't. Please. Then, I'm actually out getting coffee. Not at Claire's. It's complicated. Then nothing for a beat, and one more. Let's talk tonight. I drove to the Birchfield. It's one of those mid-tier places with a carpet pattern that hides every stain and a front desk clerk who's a year out of high school wearing a tie that doesn't fit. I walked past the lobby slowly like a man who knows exactly where he's going, then took the elevator to the third floor. Room numbers climbed. 63, 64, 65. I knocked once, then once more. I heard feet hit carpet. The latch clicked. The door cracked, then opened fast like someone pulling off a bandage. Jenna stood there in a sweater she didn't leave the house wearing, hair up fast, face pale in that way you only get when your story runs out. She didn't speak. I smiled. "How's your sister?" I asked. "Is it okay if I stop by? I won't stay long." Her mouth opened, closed. Behind her shoulder, I saw the corner of a backpack and a man's jacket on a chair. I didn't look at him. I kept my eyes on Jenna the way you look at a crossing light, red or green. "No, Mark, this is not." She swallowed nothing. "I can explain. You're out of time," I said gently. I reached into my pocket and slid 500s from my money clip, folded tight. I set them on the dresser inside the door like a tip for housekeeping. "You'll need to stay here a bit. Home isn't available to you after this." "What?" Her voice came back in a rush. "You can't." "I filed this morning," I said calm. "It'll be done soon." She stared like the ceiling had caved in. "You filed? Without talking to me?" "You had months to talk," I replied. "You practiced with your phone." Her eyes were glass now, and I kept going because clarity is mercy. "One more thing," I said. I held up my phone and leaned in next to her. "We need a selfie." "You're sick," she whispered. "For the attorney," I said. "I'll need it later." I snapped it. She flinched in the frame like the truth flashed too bright. I put my phone in my pocket and stepped back into the hall. "You don't have to do this," she said, voice small. "I already did," I answered. "Room 65, right? I'll have your essentials sent here this afternoon." I left. I didn't look at the man behind her or the way he stood frozen. The elevator ride down felt like any elevator ride. The clerk at the front desk smiled out of habit. Outside, the sky was neutral. 2 hours later, she called. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. The third time I answered. I was in my truck in our driveway with a box of her sweaters on the passenger seat and a pair of heels she never wore to family dinners. "Mark, listen, please." I interrupted. "I'm only going to say this once." "I messed up," she rushed. "I panicked after the trip. It was stupid. It meant nothing." "You don't know what it meant," I corrected. "You didn't stop to measure. You liked the attention, you liked the game, and you thought I wouldn't act. That's the part you miscounted." "Can we pause?" she asked, desperate enough to try business language. "Can we not do anything final? Just give me a week. We'll go to dinner. We'll talk." "No," I said. "There's nothing to talk about. Stop calling me about little things. Real matters go through email. Logistics only." "You're punishing me." "I'm finishing," I replied. "I'll have some of your stuff sent to the Birchfield. Room 65. Don't," she said, a plea and a command mixed. "Please. People will see." "They already do," I said, and ended the call. I packed 2 boxes with essentials, clothes, toiletries, a charger, her favorite hoodie. I didn't touch the framed photos. I left those like a museum. I drove to the Birchfield, asked the clerk to drop the boxes at 65, and left before she could turn another page of her script. That night, I slept in the guest room with the door locked. Not because I was scared, but because boundaries should not have exceptions. The house was quiet in a way it hadn't been for weeks. I watered the plants, turned off lights in rooms we never used, and put the shared credit card in a drawer with the wedding album. I sent a short email to Jenna's address, bullet points, rent due, utilities on auto, her mail forwarded, and a note that we'd handle the rest through the service I set up. Short, clean, factual. No swearing, no speeches, no digressions about who did what to whom and when. The next morning, Owen slid a coffee across the workbench to me. "You look like a man who decided something." "I closed a chapter," I said. "Jenna?" "Yeah." He didn't ask for details. He nodded and changed a belt on the sander, leaving me the dignity of not telling the story twice. Linda texted in the afternoon. "Is Jenna okay?" She said she was staying with her sister, then said she was at a hotel. I called Linda and told her 2 sentences. "We're splitting. She'll reach out if she wants. You and Walt don't have to pick sides." "Oh, Mark," Linda said softly. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," I said. "We're fine." The part of me that wanted to drive back to the Birchfield and deliver another speech died sometime between box 1 and box 2. The truth is, I didn't need anything from Jenna anymore. She had already given me what I needed. Proof that the respect was gone and the game was real. Once you know the game is real, you don't argue about rules. You leave the room. When she texted the next day, it was a paragraph of explanations dressed as apologies. She used phrases like, "I don't know who I am right now," and "I never meant to hurt you," and "We can start fresh if you can just," I replied with 2 sentences. Stop. We're done. Email for logistics only. She tried the soft version, then the sweet version, then the outraged version. I stopped being the audience. If a thing doesn't land, it stops getting thrown. At work, I took on more cabinetry jobs and moved the pickup truck project from someday to today. I drove to the lake on Sundays with Nate and a cooler full of water and sandwiches. I spent an hour with my nephew teaching him how to change a tire without losing a finger. My mother called me to ask if I was eating. Yes, I said, and I was. I stopped checking the time every 10 minutes. I stopped listening for a garage door like it would define my night. A week passed. Jenna sent another long message about closure. I didn't respond. She tried calling late one night. I blocked her number and sent one final email. Please respect the boundary. We'll communicate through the service. Take care. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt precise. The house started to feel like mine again. I bought a simple leather couch and a sturdy oak table for the kitchen that I had wanted for a year. No brands, no designer nonsense, just solid pieces that would outlast moods. I put hooks by the back door for my jackets and hung a calendar inside the pantry like a coach. It was far from glamorous. It felt good anyway. At my old barbershop, the owner Joe asked, "So, you single or just acting like it?" "Single," I said. He nodded. "You look 5 pounds lighter in the face. That's not a haircut. That's peace." "Something like that," I said. He tapped my shoulder with the brush, a little ceremony of brotherhood. "Stay moving." I did. 2 months later, I pulled into a driveway I hadn't seen before. It belonged to Lauren, a nurse from the clinic where my buddy Nate's wife worked. She was grounded, had a laugh that didn't ask permission, and cared for people without auditioning for sainthood. We met at a backyard barbecue where she told a joke about the smell of disinfectant and the smell of lies being different. I told her I had recently learned to tell them apart. We took our time. No games, no speeches. We didn't post about it. We didn't market it. We made coffee, went on hikes, and fixed a leaky faucet in her rental with an old wrench. When she asked about Jenna, I gave the short version and a single photo, the selfie in the hotel hallway. "That told me everything I needed," I said. She nodded and didn't ask for gore. Adults don't. By fall, the shop expanded. Owen and I hired a kid from the technical school. I bought a used SUV, reliable, clean, not loud. Vacation plans meant a cabin by the state park, not a rooftop with cute bands. I had friends at my table again. Nate, Owen, even Walt with his overcooked bacon and kind eyes. We ate, talked about nothing, and then about something. Linda cried once and apologized for crying. It was fine. Jenna, I heard in passing, moved into a small apartment across town. Claire told someone who told someone that Jenna was taking time to find herself and working at a boutique. I didn't fact check. I didn't need to. I knew enough. One Sunday, I found an old list Jenna had written in a notebook. Things to buy for the house, a trip we were going to take, the word together underlined twice. I put the notebook in a box labeled past and slid it onto the highest shelf in the garage where mice and nostalgia go to die. Then I drove to the hardware store and bought a new deadbolt. Boundaries aren't just sentences. Sometimes they're brass and steel. People ask sometimes, in that curious, cautious way, "How did you know it was over?" Like, really know? I tell them the short answer. When someone stops respecting you, believe them, I say. Then act like a man who believes them. The long answer is a few months of little choices. It's a tea mug on a patio and a phone turned face down. It's a brunch where you say the thing out loud instead of swallowing it. It's a neighbor's confused eyebrows. It's 2 versions of nice, the cookie plate and the couch cuddle, and a report in a folder with a room number that matches the ache in your gut. It's cash on a dresser because the rest of your mercy is a clean exit, and a selfie because the future likes proof. The day I walked away from room 65, I didn't win. I ended. There's a difference. Endings make space for better starts. You can't start anything worth a damn with your head turned toward a door someone else controls. So yeah, I don't run late-night checks of hotel parking lots. I don't drive by apartments that don't belong to me. I don't balance my life on the edge of somebody's lie. I build cabinets that close flush, and I build my days the same way. If you're waiting for a grand statement, here it is, the only one that mattered in the end. I didn't ask Jenna to meet me at a coffee shop for a talk. I didn't ask her to see my side. I didn't invite her to vote on my self-respect. I looked at the life in front of me, and I left the room that didn't want me. And I left her a line she can quote if she ever needs to remember how it ended. Stop calling me about little things, I told her. I'll send part of your stuff to room 65. Then I hung up, put the phone on the counter, face up, and moved forward.